Hello students, it's Nazia Begum here, welcoming you all in today's lecture. In our previous lecture, we were studying about cyclotron and we have discussed what is cyclotron, its principle and its construction. Now, in today's video, we will discuss the working of cyclotron, its limitation and some examples. Okay, some problems we will solve. So here in front of you the whole arrangement is there, which I have already explained you. Okay. One thing I want to tell you that with the help of cyclotron, only the positively charged particles can be energized, can have high energy, not the negative particles like electron, etc. And why is this so? That I will tell you after explaining the working and theory. So, how to give energy, how to increase energy of a charged particle, positively charged particle by cyclotron. Now let us discuss the working. So here you can see two shells are there. These are in form of Ds. Okay, first metallic shell is called D1 and second one is called D2. Okay, so here in between these two shell at a point S is there. Here we place the particle which we have to energize. After that, we switch this oscillator on and the alternating current starts flowing through the Ds. Okay. Now suppose in first half cycle of the alternating current, D1 is at positive terminal, D2 is at negative terminal. Okay. Because the particle placed here is positive, so what happens when D2 is negative? The particle will get attracted by D2 and it starts moving here. When the particle starts moving towards D2, this field you can see, these are the magnetic fields. Okay, you can see their direction. So when the particle starts moving towards D2, the particle moves perpendicular to the magnetic field as well. Okay, and when the particle moves perpendicular to magnetic field, the magnetic Lorentz force moves the particle in circular path. So in place of a straight line motion, the particle moves in a circular path. As the particle complete one circle, okay, as the particle complete, suppose the particle is here and it is moving like this in a circular path, then what happen? By this oscillator, now the terminals of current has changed. In first half, D1 was positive and D2 was negative. Now in second half, what happened? D2 becomes positive and D1 becomes negative. So when the particle enter D2, it becomes negative and D1 becomes positive. So now the particle get attracted towards D1. Okay. So now the particle start moving towards D1. Is it clear? In first half cycle, the particle moves towards D2, but because of magnetic field, its motion becomes circular. In second half motion of the current, D1 becomes negative, so particle starts moving towards D1, but because now also it is moving perpendicular to B, so it moves in circular direction. Here you can see. Okay, and when it moves in circular direction, it again reaches here at this point. Now again from here the direction of current changes and again D1 become positive and D2 becomes negative. So the particle again get attracted towards D2. So this change in the current continues, as well as the changes in terminals on D1 and D2 also continues. So in first half cycle of current, the particle get attracted towards D2, in second half towards D1. Like that, this type of attraction in two different Ds continues. Okay, and when the particle is moving towards d1 or d2, because it moves in a perpendicular direction of magnetic field, so because of that it moves in circular path. Okay, and also we know that when the particle is moving in the direction of electric field, the particle get accelerated. Okay, so two things are happening here. First, the particle is moving in circular path, and second, the particle is being accelerated, the velocity is increasing, and because the velocity is increasing, so slowly the circular path in which particle is moving, its radius is also increasing. So like this, what happened? Simultaneously the particle is, so here the particle is moving in circular path because of magnetic field, and because of electric field, that circular path, the radius of the circular path is slowly increasing. So the particle starts moving like a cyclone, and that's why the device is named as cyclotron. Okay, then when the particle attains the maximum radius, after that what happen? It will come out from a window and strikes to the whatever target is placed in front of it. Okay, so now I hope you all have understood the working of cyclotron. Here only two main important things are there, that when the particle starts moving, because of magnetic field its motion becomes circular, and because of electric field its velocity, or we can say the energy, slowly increases. The particle gets accelerated, and that's why the radius slowly increases, increasing the energy of particle more and more, and then the high energy particle comes out from the window and strike the target. So this is the working of cyclotron. Now let's derive some important terms for cyclotron. So first of all, we will see that what is the maximum radius attained by the maximum circle, the highest one, and we will also see what is the time taken by the particle to complete the semicircular path. In cyclotron, the particle is moving in circular motion because of the magnetic field. So whatever centripetal force is required to move a particle in circular path, that is given by the magnetic Lorentz force here. So mv square upon r equals to qvb, or by rearranging the formula we can get r equals to mv upon qb. Now time taken by the particle to complete the semicircular path. See, when the particle is moving in circular path, its total path is given by the perimeter of the circle, that is 2 pi r. And when we are discussing about semicircle, so that time the total path will be 2 pi r upon 2. Okay, half of the 2 pi r. So 2 get cancelled and we have pi r. So the total distance is pi r here in semicircle, and velocity is v. So time equals to distance upon velocity. When we put the value of v here, okay, v equals to qb r upon m, that is also from that previous formula, mv square upon r equals to qvb. From that formula, from this formula we can say, from this formula only we get the value of v here as this one. When we put this value here, we get t equals to pi m upon qb. Okay, so here we can see the value of t depends on magnetic field, charge of the particle and mass of the particle, as well as radius depends on mass, velocity, charge and magnetic field. Okay, so if the magnetic field is more, the radius will be less. Okay, charge is more, the radius will be less. But if the mass or the velocity of the particle is more, the radius will be more. Okay, so when we increase the velocity, the particle get accelerated because of electric field. So when we increase the velocity, the radius increases. Now you understood the relation between increase in velocity and radius. if we increase the radius of the particle, velocity of the particle, the radius also increases, and that's why the particle moves in form of a cyclone. Now let's discuss cyclotron frequency or magnetic resonance frequency. Why cyclotron frequency is called magnetic resonance? Because here resonance is there, the particle is moving in both the D's one by one periodically, D1 to D2, then D2 to D1, like that. So resonance is there, and magnetic field is also there. Because of the magnetic field, it is moving in circular path only. So that's why cyclotron frequency can also be called as magnetic resonance frequency. It is given by nu c. Okay. Now the cyclotron works when the frequency of the applied alternating potential difference is equal to the frequency of the revolving charge particle. So whatever charge particle is moving there, okay, it is having some frequency. So the alternating potential difference must have the equal frequency, then only the cyclotron will work. So I will explain you what the meaning of this statement is there. Okay, so here you can see, when we put the particle here, the particle once move to D1 then D2. Okay, so here what happened, the particle when it is going towards D2, suddenly the frequency of this oscillator should change, and the oscillator should lead it to D1. Otherwise what happen, if frequency will not change in proper time, it will travel more distance inside D2. Are you understanding this? D2 is attracting the particle, so it will travel more distance. But we should not allow that. We should make some kind of arrangement that as the particle enters inside D2, it starts moving in circular path, and suddenly, okay, at that time only, the terminal should change so that it will be attracted to D1. Okay, the particle again is moving because of magnetic field, and as it is about to move inside D2, the frequency should change, and then it should attracted towards D1. So when the particle enters D1, okay, the frequency should change so that particle then again go back to D2. When the particle enter D2, the frequency should be changed so that the particle can go inside D1. So like that, in a proper time, in a proper way, the frequency of the oscillator should change. Okay, so the potential difference here, that is the alternating potential difference here, should be equal to the frequency of the particle. And when that condition is achieved, that frequency of the particle and potential difference, they are same, that time only we can get the resonance condition. Okay, if that condition is not fulfilled, we will not get proper resonance. The particle will not move properly in D1 and D2. Okay, and this resonance condition is Vc equals to Va equals to 1 upon T, frequency equals to 1 upon time period. Okay, so 1 upon 2 into T we take. Why? Because time period means 2 into small t. What is small t? It is the time taken by the particle to complete the semicircular path. Okay, so when we are talking about the revolution, total time period, okay, so that time we are not talking about semicircular path but the full circle. So that's why it is multiplied by 2 here. When we write it in the value of t here, we get this equation. Okay, so this is cyclotron frequency. Cyclotron angular frequency is given by omega equals to 2 pi v. When we put value of v here, so pi get cancel, 2 get cancel, and we get qb upon m. Sorry, it is not v, it is nu here. So when we put the value from here, okay, this is the value of resonance condition frequency. So when we put this value here, we get this equation, qb upon m. It is the cyclotron angular frequency. If we simply ask what is cyclotron frequency, so this is the equation, and cyclotron angular frequency, for that this is the equation. Now suppose when the particle is coming out from the cyclotron through that window, that time the maximum velocity attained by the particle is Vm. So here Vm can be given by QBr upon m. So what will be the maximum kinetic energy of the particle? Kinetic energy equals to half mv square when we put the value of V here. Okay, so 1 m and m get cancelled and we get this equation. So this is the energy of that particle which is coming out from the cyclotron. And you can see that it is directly proportional to r square. What is r here? This capital R is the radius of the last circle, that is the bigger one, biggest circle in the cyclotron. It is the radius of that circle. Okay, so E max, maximum energy, is directly proportional to r square. That means if r will be more, energy will be more. So if the particle make a large circle, its energy will be more. Now let's discuss limitations of cyclotron. So first one is, as the positive ion accelerates in the cyclotron, it moves with larger and larger speed. When this speed becomes comparable with the speed of light, the mass of ion increases in accordance with the relation, this one. Okay. Thus, the time taken by the particle to complete a semicircular path also increases. It means that the polarity of D's changes before the particle completes the semicircular path. The particle therefore gets out of phase with the oscillating electric field, consequently it loses energy. The problem is, however, overcome to a certain extent in the following two ways. So whatever we have studied here, it means that if the ions are accelerated more than a particular limit, so because of the large limit, what happen when there is a relation, okay, mass energy equivalence, we say Einstein's relation is there, E equals to mc square. According to that, if any particle reaches the speed of light, okay, after that its speed will not increase, but after that if we give energy to that particle, so because of that the mass starts increasing. Okay, because there is one assumption that nothing can move with a speed higher than light. So if any object reaches the speed of light, after that if you give more energy, the speed will not increase but the mass starts increasing. So if the mass will increase, so according to that the time will also change, because we have seen that time period depends on mass. Okay, so time will also change, and if the time change, then the frequency of the particle will also change. So then what happened? The potential difference, alternating potential difference, will not be in phase with the frequency of particle, and hence what happened? The particle when gets out from the phase, the cyclotron will not work in a proper manner. So this problem can be treated by two methods. The first one is by adjusting the frequency of the applied oscillating electric field so that the particle remains in phase with the electric field. Such a cyclotron is called frequency modulated cyclotron, because here we have modulated or changes the frequency. Then second method is by increasing the strength of the magnetic field so that T remains constant and the particle remains in phase with electric field. Such a cyclotron is called synchrotron, because here we have synchronized the time by increasing the strength of magnetic field. One more important thing is there. Cyclotron can accelerate only heavy particles like protons, alpha particle, neutrons, etc. It cannot be used to accelerate the electrons because an electron, being very light particle, immediately acquires high energy and then gets out of phase of the oscillating electric field, and hence it loses energy. Okay, so now I hope you all have understood why we cannot give energy to electron by using the cyclotron, because it gets energy very easily and it becomes out of phase with this cyclotron and loses all the energy. Then the last topic of this chapter, uses of cyclotron, last point of this chapter. So it is used in first to produce energetic particles for causing nuclear reaction. Second, to implant ions into solid to modify their properties and produce new materials. And third, to produce radioactive substance required for diagnosis and treatment of the patients in hospitals. With this, we have completed this chapter. Now in next video, we will start new chapter. Till then, goodbye, take care, do some productive work, and the most important thing, be healthy, be safe.